impactful in the United States in the 1970s. It had a big impact on crime, and a lot of the crime was caused by organized crime or mafia, or there's many terms for it, called mob, gang. Um, One of the movies that was extremely popular in the 1990s was Goodfellas. It was really impactful on the mafia genre, and it really showed people what it was really like in a mafia family in America. It it was released in 1990 on September 9th, and it was based on a book by Nicholas Pileggi. It's called Wise Guy, the book, and it's based off this guy's life. His name's Henry Hill, and he's of half Italian descent and half Irish descent, and his main goal in life was to always become a gangster. That's what he says in the movie. That's one of the most famous lines in the movie. There's a clip right here. This is from the beginning of the movie where he says this famous quote.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
That's one of the most famous quotes in the movie. It's a very well-known quote among people who watch movies and know about movies. And that's the main character, Ray Liotta. That's the actor. He plays Henry Hill. The movie was directed by Martin Scorsese, and it also stars Robert De Niro as Jimmy Conway and Joe Pesci as Tommy DeVito, which are both become like his wingmen in the movie. The movie starts in 1955 in Brooklyn, New York, with Henry as a little boy. They show him in school at first, and they show him eventually getting into the gangster life and dropping school and running errands for people in the mafia and organized crime, and eventually works his way up into the ranks of the mafia family. Even though he's only half Italian, half Irish, he can't be fully initiated into the mafia, but he could be part of it. He can't be a made man, but he could be part of it. He works under his mob capo boss, Paul Cicero, and his associates were Jimmy Conway and Tommy DeVito. The first part of the movie is really Henry working his way up through the ranks, doing car robberies, robbing stores, holding up people, getting into drugs a little bit. But it's after that Henry gets arrested in Florida that he goes to jail, and the way that he supports his family while he's in jail is the cocaine trade. He gets really into cocaine, and that eventually leads to his downfall. This is another clip from the movie, a little bit of him talking about cocaine and his involvement with cocaine.
It took me about a week of sneaking around before I could unload the Pittsburgh stuff, but when I did, it was a real score. I started using Sandy's place to mix the stuff, and even with Sandy snorting more than she mixed, I could see that this was a really good business. I made $12,000 in my second week. I had a down payment on my house, and things were really rolling. All I had to do was every once in a while was tell Sandy that I loved her.
As you can see, he got really involved in cocaine. That was a cocaine where he mixed his cocaine and packaged it up for sale at one of his girlfriend's house. He's married in the movie, but he always has many mistresses throughout the movie because he's in this life. And this is eventually what he totally turns to, and he sells cocaine the whole time while he's in jail for several years, and is able to support his family. And the mob really looks down on you for that, but they let it slide because it was the only way of making money while he was in there supporting himself. And in 1978, he finally gets released, and they finally planned the Lufthansa heist. The Lufthansa heist was a big robbery at the John F. Kennedy Airport in New York, where they robbed $5 million in cash and $875,000 in jewels. This was the biggest heist on American soil ever at the time. One of the biggest robberies ever made in that way, and this made him really famous and really put him on the map in the mob world. Soon after this, he starts running low on his money, and he starts becoming more and more involved in the drug trade. He starts pulling his associates, Tommy and Jimmy, in, who were with him the whole movie in his gang, and he eventually becomes really highly addicted to cocaine and starts struggling with cocaine addiction and insomnia, and it eventually leads to, it's going to lead to his complete downfall when he's one day making a cocaine deal, a very like high-profile cocaine deal, worth a lot of money, and he's got narcotic agents following him around all day in helicopters, and they eventually catch on to him and arrest him. When they narcotic agents catch him, he's pretty much screwed because at this point he's being kicked out of the gang life because the whole mob's looking down on him for using cocaine and dealing cocaine. They're really trying to stay away. They try to stay away from that. That was one of the main things that put the mob down in the 70s and 80s that doesn't exist so much now today is because of drugs. Drugs really messed them up. Police really got serious about drugs, and that was how they were able to catch a lot of these guys. So Henry, with very little options, was offered witness protection program from the FBI, and at first he was trying to get away with it, and him and his wife are on the run. They're looking over their shoulders everywhere they go because they think they're going to get shot by someone in the gang because someone's trying to kill him because they know that he's going to rat them all out. Well, at the end, he finally agrees to the witness protection program. He gets on the stand, testifies, and rats all of them out, and they all go to jail. That's how the movie ends. Witness protection program puts him in a safe place, away from them, where he can't, be touched by any of them, and protects him. And he lives under a different name and completely different life. He went from the mob life to not having anything really. And the film is based on a true story. It was all taking place in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, a little bit of the 80s. All the people in it are real. The movie it's one of the greatest movies of all time. It's number 92 on AFI's top 100 movies of all time. It's got countless awards. It won the Academy Award that year for Best Picture, and it really had an impact on mob movies and how it really was. Other than The Godfather, it's considered one of the best mafia movies of all time.